Just in terms of feeling your vibrations, one thing that I find helpful is that to get out in nature, away from Wi-Fi signals, away from cell phone towers, away from high power lines. Although, those are different frequencies, they do influence our bodies. And sometimes it's just more peaceful to get out, away, and it might be called like in the forest or in a park, or just away from all the electronic waves that are bombarding us constantly, especially if you live in a city. We're just inundated with electromagnetic radiation. So getting out to nature is one way to better feel your inside vibrations. Just a thought.
I agree. And I think the question others should be asking also is, how does that impact our way of thinking? Why do we feel different when we are in nature, when we are taking a stroll around the river, or we are in naturally beautiful place, scenic place?
I think the connection is a little more clear when you're in the middle of nowhere or in nature. I myself this is Karen. I'm an avid hiker, and I do spend a lot of time, or I try to get out as much as possible, because I feel like I can tap into that source energy. I feel like it enables me to connect deeper or go deeper, versus being around in my makeshift office or figuring out the next moves in life. But that's my 2 cents.
I think you can get some of it through just being creative, like journaling, poetry, artwork, making music. If you can't get out into nature, which is a great suggestion, but sometimes you just can't, just being creative is another way to disconnect from everything and reconnect.
So I also agree with Suze. What is that your name, Suz?
Suzanne?
Yeah. Oh, Suzanne, yeah, because I don't know, I guess when I started like a sort of a journey, I write, and so that's helped me a lot. Just writing, everything started for me when I write articles now in like on a platform called Medium, but it all started through journaling. Through journaling and writing, I was able to become more self-aware. So it was sort of like a therapy. And when you write, your subconscious is kind of active. It's really active when you write, and so you're able to sort of like relax. And then, as your subconscious is like guiding your writing, afterwards, you complete like a article or a project, and you're able to learn a lot along the way. So yeah, I agreed with everything everybody else has been saying, also with like nature and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that, what I've been doing is just staying off of the news. I don't watch the TV. I don't do Facebook. I do no emails. If I do happen to look at my emails, I bypass anything that says anything about COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And we just have to really try to think of the positiveness that is coming out of this. And I believe that it's going to bring a lot more people to God. And this will glorify him tremendously. We all will know now, the government and everybody will know the do's and don'ts of a disaster, things that we have learned, things that we need to make better for anything that comes our way again, because it's more bound to for sure happen. And then, people will learn more to wash their hands, because I guess people really just don't realize to do it when they go to the grocery store and whatever they're touching, on their body or whatever, and starting to touch all the foods and, just things like that as far as hand washing. And then also with, the loneliness. There's many people out there that are suffering it in general, have been, and people really don't see the issue, but now it is being brought out and people can really, and it's not to, put down or say anything bad about what we're dealing with now. But I mean, people that are dealing with loneliness can realize how others are feeling with that situation, not just during this time, but have always felt it. Mm-hmm. And people don't really realize it until they step into a situation. That's all.
Pretty good. Thanks, Laura, for sharing that.
Thanks. Yeah, that was good. That was nice. Yeah, I agree with that too, because I don't know, maybe was that Laura?
Yes.
You think I don't know, I think this maybe will like the experience, I don't know, from my experience, because like I live alone, so I found that with what's going on, like it seems like I'm more tapped in with my family than I was before. So I'm actually, through this experience, it's sort of like everyone needs everyone,
Yeah.
So you're sort of like, you're forced in a good way to sort of like call people every day, whereas before I would barely speak to anybody on the phone, So I guess through this is sort of can reduce some of that, with, even with what we're doing now. If this wasn't going on, I may have not been able to like make it, with traveling or whatever. But since what's going on, we find different ways to, I guess, maybe connect. And maybe some people wouldn't have been able to join you guys otherwise, if this wasn't going on. And so it opens up, different doors to, like Laura said, what has always been going on. So maybe it's sort of like, when this is over with, maybe like we'll all think of different ways to sort of incorporate different people, into different meetings, because there's a lot that goes on, in life and in the world, before Corona and after Corona, So maybe, I don't know, maybe there will be like more opportunities after this to like do things like meet online.
Yeah, totally agreed. Yes.
Before I knew all this, I felt like I was more connected before I knew all this information. There was a lot of people, there was a time in my life where things went south, and I found myself, just so a little history about me, I found myself being a young single mom, and so it was just me and my kids, and I pretty much, so I'm saying this story because I want to get to how I got to my alignment, right? So since my kids were little, I had 3 that were so close of age. The only time I had to myself was if I woke up nice and early. So pretty much I started waking up early just to have time for myself. And then I noticed that waking up early started doing something to me. And it's not that it started doing something to me. I just like the feeling of waking up early. It's almost like I would get like a high. And so I didn't know anything about vibrations, about energy or anything like that. All I knew is that I couldn't wait to wake up the next morning. I couldn't wait to go to sleep because my dreams started changing, but I know that's like a totally different thing. And I had like experiences while I was sleeping. So I love, my favorite part of the day was going to sleep and waking up. So I'll stick with the waking up part. And again, this is before I knew anything. And I remember there was one time where I felt so high. Pretty much, you just have this feeling of gratitude. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know. I just fell on my knees and I just rose my hands. And I started like bowing. And it's just weird. It's not in my culture. It's not in my religion to do that. But I just felt so connected, And then at that time is when I mostly got like experiences. For example, there was one time where I just had some time and I was just having fun looking at YouTube videos, and I started like tapping into the vegan diet, the raw vegan, and I did it only for 2 weeks. And so, and somewhere in those 2 weeks, I had an out of body experience that night. That I know this is a little weird, right? I'm so used to it. No, I'm not used to it because it only happened once. But maybe for some people this might be weird. But I had an out of body experience that took me to pretty much a different planet, where I don't know. So anyhow, my point is that most of the experiences that I've had, like out of the ordinary, and the highest I've felt in my life is before I knew all this. But then there was a time in my life when I started getting information, and it's good too, because it's good to know how it works. So that way you can like pull the reins and move it to where you want it to go. So it's good to know all this information. So I just want to make this comment. But after this class, just like brush it off. And that's just do what you're like, do your chores, do what you need to do. You got to go to work. And then when you can disattach from your mind, either again, if it's going to nature, if it's waking up early in the morning, if it's doing art stuff, whatever takes you where you detach from your mind, when you can, you always can't, but I guess I just want to remind everyone, don't forget to brush it all off and just go more with your emotions than let me write everything down, So I just wanted to add that.
Thanks, Lorena, for sharing that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
What's your take on like the virus and everything? Because I think that I don't know what's been going on with the the coronavirus and everything. I noticed a difference. Going back to what everyone was saying, I noticed like a difference with with the stress of what's taking place. It can sort of like lead to you, reading a lot and becoming informed about what's going on. And so I guess what I've been trying to work on is just like taking some time like off screen, to just, to try to like move forward and try to, get some type of purpose from what's going on. So yeah, I don't know. What have you been trying to do? I mean, what have you been doing? I guess since what's been going on to try to, I don't know, get some sort of clarity and a sense of calm with what's been going on as far as like silencing the mind or whatever. Or yeah.
I can answer your question in many ways. One aspect is, why do these things happen? And we all try to ask that question ourselves, with the universe, to the God, or whatever. And at times we don't see, or many times we don't get answers for that. I can tell you, and people who are in those meetings earlier, when the show was starting, I was saying that this is going to be a spiritual year. This is a year where the spiritual energies are going to be high. And I'm not saying that it is because of coronavirus or something. It is also. But what I'm trying to say is, for universe, everything is part of a design that happens. There are no accidents. Though there are some small accidents do happen, but then typically, mostly, you will not find accidents happening as such or as much. Everything happens for a reason. And unless we understand those reasons, things will stay open-ended for us. The problem is, where do you get that information? How do you find that information? Would you read a book to know how coronavirus started? You will probably get that. But why? Why it started? You can get to know how, but why? And why at this time? Why it couldn't happen some other time? Right? So that information is something, fortunately or unfortunately, is or can be gotten at by our inward focus, inward journey. because that is not outside. Science is not able to define that, at least so far. So we have to focus where we can get that information, and which I believe is inside. Trust me when I say this, which may sound like um, exaggeration of the fact, but then all the information that we look for outside is actually inside, even greater. The more information is inside of you than it is outside of you, to put simplistically. You, when you start becoming more spiritual, start following a pattern of life where you focus more on spiritual aspect of life, or you invert, you become inwardly focused. Things change for you. Things change around you. People change around you, and the way you react to different circumstances, that also changes. Many a thing that could impact you earlier would not impact you that much. And the other thing that happens is currently when we are outward focused, we are only thinking of this body, this lifespan. This is something that is happening, aren't they saying, as per the statistics, every 100 years, something like this big is happening in this world. Like we had, you call it coronavirus, COVID-19, you call it HIV, you call it MERS, you call it SARS, you call it flu, you call it something else. But deaths are happening. It's a part of life. They will happen. It is unfortunate to many people, fortunate to the way that is happening. But I guess not. It is a sensitive topic, so I will not go deeper in that. But what I would say is things do happen based on certain design of the universe. If you be more inwardly focused, that will help you stay. I won't say you will become, uh, you will get into a trance state, but you definitely will be in a transformational state where you will not be impacted by many things. And by impact, I don't mean that you will not think about it. The level of impact also varies. One thing is that you see something, you cry, you are so sad, you are scared, or whatever it is. The the other stage could be where you feel bad but you don't cry. The other stage could be you feel bad but not much as much to stop you from eating or drinking water or getting on with the day. Or you can get into a stage where you are impacted, you feel sad for someone or something or whatever has happened, but then it is not mentally impacting you as much where you it is staying on your mind throughout the day. So there are different levels. You can get to this side of spectrum or that side of spectrum. When you start becoming more inwardly focused, you get from this side of the spectrum where you're getting impacted more to the other side of spectrum where you don't get impacted. One, because you see the way things are, the way they are, and also it's funny that you get some information which scientifically cannot be explained how you get that information even though you have not read that book. You have, if that information is not available, right, how would you know that? Like this presentation, I don't know if that is this way of and I'm not saying it is a good way. I don't mean to take compliment from this. What I'm saying is this way of thinking about law of attraction came to me when I was meditating, or when I uh, was not actually sitting in meditation but contemplating basically. And you try to think about how things are, when things, why things are, and you get that information. And I could see that connection. It's not that someone came to me in my thoughts and said, "Hey, Vikas, this is how law of attraction works. This is what frequency is," and something like that. No, And I can tell you from my other experiences. This is one example of this presentation. But then other example, and again, not to say that I know things, I'm like the expert or whatever. I was surprised myself that some of the things that came out of my mouth during some of the meetings are actually said by the people who were highly respected, highly enlightened people like Gautam Buddha, Vivekananda. And I was told that this is exactly what they said. And I was surprised. I was actually shocked because I did not read anything about them, or I did not know if they said something, but it came out. Not to say that I know at the level of their level, not at all. But what I'm trying to say is when you tap into that source, inward source, that source is an endless, abundant source where you can pick anything, even a small drop out of that ocean, and that will still be a pearl for you because we really don't get that information outside. I don't know if that answers you.
Yeah, that was good. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that made a lot of sense. Thanks.
Thanks, Jessica.